I also saw, following the developments in France, that President Macron set up a development innovation fund for development and inequality. I'll come back to the relation between the two, that you kindly agreed to chair. There have been some money put forward, my understanding, from the French administration. You also mentioned the UK. So I have a dual question. First, what will this fund do in the short and more likely in the medium run? Because these problems will not go away in 2021 or 2022. And second, do you see that the way forward is those unilateral kind of approaches, or we need something much bolder, multinational? For example, on the issue that Abhijit just mentioned, at the Wheeler Institute, I hosted in May our friend Pierre-Olivier Gourinchas, who they have put forward a bold proposal to restructure mostly emerging markets debt. So what is the way forward for development policy more generally?
That's a great question. So the answer to whether that's the answer to all of the world's problem is definitely no. It's a small part of an answer. What it is meant to do is to help countries to develop their own innovative solution, test them out, and scale them. And it's not the first of its kind. In the US, there is DIV, the Development Impact Venture, that was started by USAID under Michael Kramer's leadership. In the UK, there is GIF, the Global Innovation Fund, that was funded as a sort of joint venture between USAID and the then DFID. But there was nothing like that in continental Europe, and the French DIV is sort of filling that gap, and also filling that gap towards countries that have been completely left out of this type of innovation movement, in particular the Sahel and countries in sub-Saharan Africa. So the reason why it can matter is to go back to the question of vaccination, for example. I was chuckling the other day because on my run I was listening to someone describing the vaccination campaign in the US and the many problems that it has, and contrasting the fact that it was developed, the scientific process that led to its quick development was just magnificent, and now we are kind of unable to get it in a number large enough into people's arms. The US is not at all alone in facing this difficulty, by the way. And someone said, "Oh, you don't get this is all about logistics. You don't get a Nobel Prize for logistics." And as I was running, I was like, "Yes, you do. That's why we got the Nobel Prize. Is for this, what we've been calling plumbing, which is that most of the difference between success and failure is not only how much money there is. I think in this case we do need some money for sure, but also how you organize the details of the rollout of a particular policy. And this is particularly obvious in the case of vaccination because it's something new and all of the countries are stumbling, including the rich countries. It's of course going to be difficult for the poor countries as well, although there have been successes of the Ebola fight against Ebola was a remarkable success that was in very, very poor countries. But we can expect issues in rolling out the vaccinations. And there again, you think, getting this plumbing done correctly will actually require just as much ingenuity as developing the vaccine itself. And this ingenuity exists, it's present in the countries, and there is no doubt a huge desire to do this right. But it will require a little bit of help and the ability for countries to learn from each other and to learn from experience and to know what has worked and what has not worked, and to share lessons on what has worked and scale that up. And this is where a fund like DIV is supposed to help, which is both financing innovation efforts to develop new policies in health, in gender, in the environment, in education, where we are going to need all of this innovation in droves, and find out whether they work through randomized controlled trials in particular, And then if they work, promote their adoption in neighboring countries, elsewhere in the world, and so on and so forth.
What's the role of business here? I understand that business cannot do much nowadays because they are closed and they have to be closed too. But what's the role of business more generally in entrepreneurship in low-income countries in the years to come?
I think that one of the things that goes back to a question that Esther, or a point that Esther was making before, which is that if we think that the vaccination will be done by the very limited health infrastructure that exists, I think then we are looking for a very long, 80 years is the number she mentioned. I think that one of the things that we could easily do is involve private businesses. They have, many of them have very long arms. They exist in many places. Why couldn't they provide the infrastructure for, vaccinating people? I think that this is after all, this, if you had to signal that you are, you are corporate, you take your responsibility seriously as a corporate. Why this seems like an obvious place to step up and to say, look, we will provide, maybe there has to be some protocol that is respected so that people are assured that the vaccine is actually, but even there, I think there are corporates who have good enough reputation. Amazon will deliver your package almost anywhere, but why aren't they stepping up to say we can also send vaccinators somewhere? I really do feel that this is a global challenge, and one that if we actually demonstrated that if the corporates took the opportunity to demonstrate their real commitment to the global welfare, I think this would pay off even for them for the long run.